the
gosh,
big picture.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
I'm Collin Dorsey.
I'm Bryn Caswell. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
It's going to be a glorious day. This weekend's going to get a little rainy, but I love those kind of weekends because I feel like that is when you can go to the movies and kind of do some of those indoor activities that you don't typically do in the summer.
But it's important to note it's not going to be a washout event. Like, there is going to be time to get out and go do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So coming up, we do have another jam-packed hour. We've gotten really, really good at making sure that you got a lot to talk about this hour. Coming up at 9:20, we are joined by ComFest. Really this time of year, we have back-to-back events in Columbus. We are joined about some of the things that you can expect this weekend there. Then the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium coming to talk to us about some of their projects and also some of the back and forth over EMS funding and how that's going with them. Then finally, to wrap it all up, the comparison, I suppose, of millennials, zillennials, and Gen Z.
Yes, this is such a conversation topic. I'm excited to get into this new study.
Right. But first, we do want to talk about the big news that is a follow-up to what we kind of ended yesterday's hour with, which is the ruling regarding temporary protected status. Really, probably 30 minutes after we ended this program yesterday is when that Supreme Court ruling came down that does allow the Trump administration to end temporary protected status. And we talk about that because of Springfield and its whole role in this, because if you followed any part of the 2024 presidential election, you know that Springfield was thrust into the spotlight due to unfounded claims that were then amplified by the now president and vice president, claiming that Haitian immigrants in Springfield were eating pets. There are roughly 12 to 15,000 Haitian immigrants in Springfield right now on temporary protected status. A lot of people, including Governor Mike DeWine, have looked at the placement of the Haitian immigrants in Springfield as a big benefit to that community in terms of job growth and tax base.
They contribute a lot to the community there. If you've been to Springfield, I think you went down there, covered this a lot.
I was there. After when that whole controversy swelled up, I was down there every bit of 3 or 4 days a week.
So interesting perspective. I was there well before any of that happened in Dayton, and you did see how they contributed to the city there. And so when all of that started happening and President Trump came out with that statement, it was kind of like, well, everyone who lives in that area is aware of the community that's there in Springfield.
Yeah, right. And we did see this, at least when I was there, this dissension of people who were not from Springfield, who were there to really stir things. They were there to kind of whip things up. Like, yes, there are people in Springfield who are not happy with this, who are not happy with the influx of this population, but they are not as outwardly spoken as we saw. We saw a lot of people who were not even from Ohio showing up in this town, 30,000 people, to cause problems and create discourse and clog up services that were ongoing.
It's like that mob mentality. People start hearing things and they want to join in and be a part of it. But Rochelle Aline, our investigative reporter here at 10 TV, she's also been covering this extensively. And she was down in Springfield yesterday with a group of people as they were watching the Supreme Court blog and really watching this news come in real time. Take a listen to the story.
Vilas Dorsonville is a master student and community organizer. And as of early Thursday morning, the Haitian native was also a TPS recipient. But after a U.S. Supreme Court ruling came down, allowing the Trump administration to enforce the program's expiration date, he can only really be described as shocked.
I was expecting that the Supreme Court or the court system would uphold justice and human dignity.
And scared.
But at some point in time in Haiti, you had to choose between your life or death because you're exposed to kidnappings, to torture.
Thursday's SCOTUS decision on this matter came down to a 6-3 vote. One of the provisions that justices disagreed on was whether or not the Trump administration's decision to end the program for Haitians was racially motivated. And the prevailing decision was that it was not. What is your reaction to that?
If this is not discrimination and racism, I don't know what that is.
That was Rochelle Aline reporting for us in Springfield. So there was a big community reaction. Obviously, as we said, there's a large population of Haitian immigrants that reside in Springfield. And they gathered outside of City Hall there and protested peacefully.
Yeah. And right. We'll go ahead and
we'll
go to Libby Cathy
yes.
right now, and then we'll kind of talk about some of the what happens next.
Mm-hmm. Let me get that pulled up.
Know how tomorrow will be.
Non seulement attendre secours bon Dieu encore.
Just rely on God's rescue.
Obed Lafai has been building a life in Springfield with his family and 3 kids for the past 2 years.
So I'm very concerned about them.
Et nous affecté très fort à une telle décision.
And we are very affected by this decision.
He was among hundreds gathered here tonight after the Supreme Court allowed the Trump administration to move forward with ending temporary protected status for thousands of Haitians and Syrians living in the U.S. About 12,000 Haitians under TPS live here in central Ohio, including Obed.
Haïti poco safe pour nous retourner.
Haiti is not yet safe for us to return there.
While Obed speaks English, he chose to do our interview in Creole, describing the uncertainty his family now faces. The president of the Springfield Haitian Community Help and Support Center says the High Court's ruling
Puts every family in a very bad situation, asking questions that we cannot answer.
Elle Millender works here with Haitian families and says she's worried for what comes next.
I think Springfield will be left in shambles because the Haitian families that I work with, they want to work. They're working jobs that Americans don't want to work.
Not everyone here agreed. A handful of protesters told me they support the court's decision and President Trump's immigration policies. But local pastor Carl Ruby says this policy goes too far.
I can support the president and what he has done to deport the worst of the worst, but Haitians are the best of the best in our community. And we can't support that, and we won't support it.
So a lot of people showed up to that event last night.
Right. And I think the big question that still exists out there is what's next?
How is this implemented?
Exactly. So
physically.
The question that we've posed both to Dr. Carl Ruby, the pastor of Central Christian, who has been a big community resource advocate /
he's been a center point for that community.
Right, between
absolutely.
a connection between the Haitian community and everybody else
in Springfield.
And then also we posed this question yesterday to Viles Dorsonville, who you heard from Rochelle as well, that nobody knows. Because we posed the question of like, okay, so do these folks now have to get their own tickets? Is the government putting them on planes? Like, how is this going to work? That hasn't been really ironed out yet. We did hear from Senator Bernie Moreno. Bernie Moreno obviously standing with the Trump administration's decision on this. He, yesterday in a news conference, said temporary protected status was going to end. It was never intended to be permanent. It was always temporary. Everyone knew there was a date, so we shouldn't have a surge of force in there to forcibly deport people who knew for a long time that this was going to have to do this on their own. So basically saying they're going to have to self-deport. And yesterday, in some of his conversations, he said that he does expect people to kind of start self-deporting themselves.
And then that transitions into our conversation we had yesterday with Viles, because we asked him point blank, what do these Haitians here in Springfield, what do they want to do? Do they want to be here?
Right.
Do they want to go home? Is it safe? What do they know?
So,
and his response was, a personal response.
So why the Haitian communities here is it all goes back to TPS that was formed in 1990 as part of an immigration act that allows people in certain countries that are facing, excessive circumstances, whether that be natural disasters, times of war, political unrest, to seek protected status here in the United States. Many of us remember the images from the Haiti earthquake in 2010.
Horrible.
That decimated that island.
I mean, it's reminding me of what's happening in Venezuela right now, just the destruction.
So after the earthquake, we really saw the Haitian government collapse.
Right.
We had so much unrest that came out of this, so much violence.
And
crime. That's why this TPS, this temporary protected status, has gone on now for 16 years.
Right.
And as we mentioned, we asked Viles straight up, like, is it safe to go back? And
Do you
this
want
was
to?
a consensus. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah.
And this was the consensus of the group of Haitians during a focus group.
Haitian also attached to the country. So we are here. Haitian also attached to the country. So we are here just for safety reason and to continue to work to find a better opportunity. But many of us would be willing to get back home if the country was going back on track.
So, right, as he mentioned there, he's like, we're
would go
not
back
here
home.
because we want to be. I mean, yes, they're happy to be here.
It's for safety purposes, but they want to be home.
They want to be home.
They want to
It
be
is your
back in
home.
Haiti.
So it is creating some tension. I guess maybe some unease would be the correct word for that.
We definitely will keep watching this as it unfolds, and we kind of maybe learn more details about implementation of this. Right. So a lot to come in the next, I would say, couple weeks with that.
Yeah, this is going to be something that I'm sure we'll have somebody down there again again today. So we'll have more follow up on that coming up at 4, 5, and 6 here on TIN TV.
Absolutely.
But anyway,
in other news,
we're going back to trial for Jason Mead.
Right.
Maybe this is
all a possibility. We want to be clear on that.
This is all on information from Jason Mead's defense attorneys.
Right. Carla covered this and essentially broke it yesterday in our noon show, so take a listen.
Former Franklin County Sheriff Deputy Jason Mead has been behind bars since May, waiting to be sentenced after a jury found him guilty of reckless homicide. In 2020, Mead fatally shot Casey Goodson Jr. after he claimed Goodson pointed a gun at him. Mead shot Goodson 6 times, including 5 times in the back. After the last trial, Goodson's family celebrated the conviction, but said they wanted the special prosecutors assigned to the case to keep trying for a murder conviction.
We would all like to see him be found guilty of murder, because what he did is murder Casey. And I don't even like to say he murdered Casey, he executed Casey.
Today, Police Union President Brian Steele says he's not surprised a 3rd trial is on the table.
What happens if you don't get a 3rd? Are you going to have a 4th trial now? How many bites of the apple do the special prosecutors want to take? They have their outcome that they want, and they're going to keep spending taxpayer dollars to get that.
Former Franklin County prosecutor Ron O'Brien says a 3rd trial is an unusual move.
During the time I was prosecutor, which was 24 years, I can only remember one case that was tried 3 times after 2 hung juries.
So why do you think they're trying again?
I think because of the public concern about police shootings, number one, and I think some of the public commentary about the need for the crime as they saw the evidence unfold to constitute murder, not reckless homicide.
O'Brien says prosecutors would have to make a decision about a 3rd trial before next week's scheduled sentencing.
A decision needs to be timely made, and it probably is past time when that decision should have been made.
And now,
so we know he's been charged with, he's been convicted for reckless homicide, which is a minimum of 3 years.
Right, but they've never been able to
get that
even
murder
reach
charge.
A decision on that murder charge, because both trials, the juries come out in a hung decision. They cannot make a decision on that murder charge. So evidently, it sounds like the prosecution is going to go back for it. This time, they are not going to use the special prosecutors, which we've brought in from Montgomery County in years past. This will be tried basically in county. And we know the special prosecutors cost a lot of money. It's
Let's
cost
get to
the county.
Breakdown.
Just to bring in these special prosecutors twice for these cases.
$667,000.
That's a lot of money. $1,000.
Yeah,
and
that
then
is
another
a lot of money.
$35,000 paid to a special expert or a special witness.
Yeah,
that they brought in.
$35,000. And so legal experts say that this is really a vital part in having a trial in general, because the jurors need to have full understanding of what happened and the different perspectives of all of it. And that's why, they're saying that it costs that much money of taxpayer dollars. It's still a lot of money, though. And this has never come to a decision. It's always been hung for that murder charge. Obviously, he got convicted with the reckless homicide one, but a lot of money down the drain. I mean, over 5 years, and these 2 families who've been severely impacted by this is still really no resolve.
Right.
So it's It's sad.
It is. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. Coming up at 9:20, we are talking with ComFest, talking with an organizer and a volunteer about what makes the event so special and what we can expect this weekend as that kicks off this morning. But coming up in 2 minutes, we have Tyvis Powell. It's 9:15 on your Friday. We made it. Hey, Tyvis.
How y'all doing
Hi,
today?
Tyvis.
Oh, really great. It's Friday.
You made it through your first week back.
I did. It was we started
How was
off.
it?
You know what? It was fun to be back. I definitely was a little rusty. That's why I'm one of those people that say I never want to take a break because I don't want to shake rust off. Like I feel like I'm in my zone and I just want to just ride the wave.
Well,
but then
but
they say they say you burn yourself out that way, and
Well,
I'm like,
Before
true.
you went on this, you're like, yeah, I don't take time off.
Never.
And then you went on 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Listen,
We're slowly counting down to where I start working 7 days a week again. Once football kicks off, 7 days a week.
Your wife's cool with that?
When the check roll in,
Hey. And you're back on daddy duty this weekend, right when you leave the door today. How's that going?
Here, take him.
How's it going?
It's going well. You know, he's getting bigger every day. I mean, he just eats, and now I'm doing like the tummy time with him and stuff like that. And he's a really, really calm kid, and I know it's gonna come to an end because I was hyper as a kid, so therefore I know he's gonna be hyper as a kid, and that's where the challenge is gonna come in.
Okay, so let's get right into sports. What's going on with the Blue Jackets? We've swapped some people around. We got new people, got rid of some people.
Time for a shake-up.
So they ended up trading with Colorado to get Nutrishkin. He is one of those right wings, and the reason that they did that is they need guys that can score. You know, when Kirill Marchenko goes out, because usually he deals with some injury, or if he's not in the line, you got to have somebody that comes in and score. And this guy brings that. You know, he had 49 points last year. He's had seasons where he's had 53 points. If you add that to the Blue Jackets roster right now and see where, like, stats, who's had the most points, it would put him roughly 5th or 6th place on the team, which is something that this team desperately needs. So love the fact that they did that trade. But now we got this whole Zach Werenski thing going on. And that there.
What's going on with that?
So it started off as like Zach, it was like a rumor. Zach potentially wants out. They're like, it's 1 year left on his deal next year. and he's potentially is not happy in Columbus, and they're like, he just won the award. Why would he want to spend the rest of his time in Columbus? So people's like, well, Zach loves Columbus. What do you mean? Well, he's never said anything like that. He's always spoke highly of the Blue Jackets. Well, now Don Waddell comes on Rothman and Ice yesterday, and he says, yeah, we got to have a conversation. And he was pretty blunt about it. He's basically saying, like, we're going to have a conversation with Zach, and we're going to find out if he wants to commit to us long term. Because if he wants to commit to us long term, absolutely, we're going to pay him 1,000%, and we want him here. But if not, then we do need to look to trading him and trying to get something big for him. And, you know, we had Dylan Tyre come on today, and I was asking him, Dylan, what would that trade look like? And he said it would probably be one of the biggest returns he's ever seen because Zach is that good of a defenseman. And we've never really seen anything like this before. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on. Obviously, it comes down to the conversation. You know, Zach has to feel like the Blue Jackets are doing everything they can to put them in the spot to eventually win the cup. You know, it's 2 years.
He probably wants to win once in a while. Who doesn't?
And then everybody, you know, he has a friend, Dylan Larkin, who's one of his childhood buddies who just requested a trade from the Red Wings in Detroit. So people are thinking like maybe those two want to link up somewhere and things like that. So it's just something to watch. If he does leave the Blue Jackets, it would be a gut punch because he's literally the best player on the Blue Jackets. So hopefully him and Don Waddell could come up with a good solution and he stays as a Blue Jacket.
Yeah. All right, Tyvis. We're going to let you get back to daddy duty.
Thank you.
Let you get on with that weekend.
Welcome back.
But
thank you, Tyvis.
This time of year in Columbus feels like that interview with Lady Gaga early in her career where she was like, what's your career like? And she's like, club, another club.
Bus,
That's what,
club.
And like this season in Columbus feels like festival, event, another festival.
Yes, it is.
So it is a busy time of year. Coming up next, we are talking with the folks over at ComFest. hour on your Friday. Welcome back to The Big Picture. Right now, we are talking with Marty and Chet. We are talking the kickoff to ComFest. So we are today. 2.5 hours from the beginning of this year's festival. It is a massive festival that takes place at Goodale Park, all about community. It started as the first free music festival, really, right?
And it's a special one.
54 years?
54 years.
54 years ago in 1972 in the Ohio State campus area, a group of political activists, artists, crafts folks, small business people, churches got together to host a relatively small event to celebrate the community, to bring people together who were thinking a great deal about the anti-war movement, social justice issues, peace, the relationship with the environment. They all came together and celebrated, and music was a big part of that. And here we are 54 years later with arguably Columbus's best and largest festival. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. What makes it the best?
All weekend long, there's at least 200 events, a lot of live music concerts. There are workshops and art demonstrations. Street fair is a very, very popular component of ComFest that features lots of local food trucks, a lot of artists, craftspeople, and vendors selling their wares. And so as a break from some of the shows and some of the workshops, people can walk street fair and go home with some cool things that they can't get anywhere else.
I live in the area. Are you expecting it to be kind of loud this weekend or calm? I feel like ComFest it changes every year almost.
ComFest has a great mellow vibe. And so there's always a hope that people will come and enjoy the music. Some of it is a little louder than others, but the relationship with the neighborhood is very important to ComFest, as well as the relationship to the beautiful Goodale Park. And so that's always taken into consideration. ComFest wants to be a great neighbor to the neighborhood.
Right. And ComFest couldn't be put on without the help of an army of volunteers behind it. Chet, you're one of these volunteers. And what all goes into it? I mean, basically, the getting the next one put together starts Sunday, basically.
I tell you what, Marty and the team of organizers, they really do live the ComFest way 365 days a year. They are organizing, they take a fair, democratic approach, and it really is a people-powered festival. We have had over 50 volunteers at the bike corral last year. Everybody signs up for 2, 3, 4 hour shift. When you're done with your shift, you get some tokens you can put towards some food or drink, and you get a shirt like Marty and I are wearing. So you get a free shirt that shows that you were given back and you were part of that.
I really like the shirt design this year.
I know, I love it too. I love the burnt orange. So what is all this you guys brought in for us today? Explain it.
Well, as part of the bike corral, we have had some great partners. Columbus Public Health has donated bike lights. You can see we've got some reflectors. They've donated some bike locks. We've waited till after dark on Friday and Saturday night to give out those bike lights to make sure riders get home safely after a great day of community building. And then another key component of the festival is the workshops. So you come for learning, engagement, empowerment. There's educational sessions all weekend, especially at the Peace and Healing Pavilion in the west central part of the park. To this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'm giving a workshop on activating neighborhood networks. We recognize that your nearby neighbors can be one of the best real-world social support and safety networks. When you take the time to get to know each other, learn names, swap contact information, extend invitations, you're going to learn and discover you have so much more in common with the folks that live next to you. And so this box right here, this is a toolkit through the Center for Human Kindness at the Columbus Foundation. And anybody can sign up. It's free to register. We're gonna put you through a 30-minute Zoom session, and then we're gonna send you a door hanger invitations, a welcome banner, name tag, sidewalk chalk, and every host is gonna get a free shirt. This is one of the most comfortable shirts you'll ever have. And we just ask you to invite your nearby neighbors to come together. Casual social mixer, BYO, in your front lawn, on your front porch, your backyard. That's really how you build community. That's the ComFest spirit, if you will.
I want to ask both of you personally, why do you love ComFest so much, and why did you want to be part of this?
I moved to Columbus quite many years ago, many more years than you did, Collin, when he visited ComFest. And at that time, it was relatively small. It was taking place not in Goodale Park, but on an empty lot that had yet to be redeveloped into condominiums and apartments. And I was just intrigued by this group of folks who got together without any corporate sponsorship, without any real money, and put on this festival that so many other people really wanted to come and see. Local bands, local music was featured, and local food, as well as the workshops that Chet's talking about, and the call to action. It was bringing people together with some progressive values, some similar ideas about how the world can be a better place. And they took several days each summer to celebrate that. And I found that to be interesting and the music to be great. And I just raised my hand and said, I'll help out. I'll volunteer for this. And I started doing small shifts, whether it might be picking up litter around the festival or pouring beer for folks who are waiting in line. And gradually over time, I became interested in some of the other aspects of the festival, putting on the festival. I work on the program guide, which is really our book of everything that's going on over the weekend, featuring this big, wonderful, colorful map that helps people find their way around to the different events.
Can you hold it up for us?
Sure can.
Right there. Can you see it? There we go. That's awesome.
It's
Wow.
it's really a great project, and it's led by Michael Gruber, our faithful program committee leader, and folks can find the schedule for all of the bands and all of the stages, all of the workshops like Chet's, as well as advertising from many members of the community who step up, not just to support ComFest, but to support the program itself.
All right, Marty, Chet, thanks so much for coming in. ComFest today kicks off at Goodale Park at noon, runs all weekend, wraps up at 6 on Sunday.
There you go. All righty. Welcome back to The Big Picture. How's it going?
Oh, good. I'm Collin. She's Bryn. Right now we are joined by AARP Ohio State Director Jennifer Carlson. Jennifer, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Well, thank
Love
you.
having you in person this time.
I know. This is great.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess we kind of want to start off a little bit with this, as AARP launched its first of its 2026 midterm election polling series, which is done by a bipartisan group.
It is.
So, you know, the focus here are on older, not Iowans, Ohioans. I was in Iowa. I'm now in Ohio. It's been a few years, but okay. So when it comes to this survey, what were some of the things that AARP found that folks 50 and older are interested in?
Well, we found a lot of really great stuff that will help influence the election. So first, the 50-plus voter block is the largest voters, the largest population segment in the state of Ohio. We have extremely motivated 50-plus voters. They're well-informed. They're looking at issues. And an interesting part of it is there's not one single label attached to the voters, Republican, Democrat, Independent, because of the issues that are going on, the important issues. And so we do have two competitive statewide races that are in the statistical margin of error. That's the gubernatorial race and our U.S. Senate race. And so we ask questions about that. And then we asked questions about what's really important to voters across the state of Ohio and narrowed in on the 50-plus voters.
Right.
So when you're talking about 50-plus voters, how many were polled in this?
So it was statistically what is typically done across the nation. And so there were about 800 consumers across the state, and it represented all ages of voters, 18 through however old. The questions that came up that were really, eye-opening were the fact that swing voters, which the 50-plus, it's about 1 in 6 of our swing voters, and a third of them are still undecided. And so when you look at opportunities within polls, candidates really need to pay attention to what the swing voters are interested in. And so that's a really great opportunity, an example of what this poll produced.
Right. And when we talk about interests and topics of focus that this 50-plus group brings up, we've heard a lot in recent weeks about Social Security. And it's obviously a big driving factor for folks 65 and older, because for a lot of folks that is primary income at that point. But we've heard a lot of messaging in recent weeks from the current administration that fund is going to run out if something's not done. Is that a concern right now, and what degree of a concern is that for this voting block?
It is one of the top of mind concerns of the 50-plus voter block, because everyone cares about retirement, right? So if you're an Ohio worker and you paid into Social Security, 55% of the individuals polled said they are going to be dependent upon Social Security. For the swing voters, even more so. They're much more dependent upon it. But the real salient point that came out of this is 92% of the 50-plus voters said they would be inclined to vote for the candidate that's out in front, that they're saying that they're going to protect, preserve, and make sure that Ohio voters are receiving their Social Security when they retire. You mentioned the report that came out, and this is a timely discussion piece, because the Social Security trustees did come out with a report saying in 6 years, the solvency of Social Security is coming under question. And that means you, me, all of us, everyone listening, watching this podcast would be subject to a 20% reduction in Social Security. And if you're counting on it, you're banking on, what you paid and you should earn it. That is going to disrupt how your retirement looks like. So this week, our senior U.S. Senator came out with a proposal that is very promising. It would lift the cap of the tax to allow to bring in over $3 trillion to help bridge that gap, to make it more solvent. And the great thing about this is he's working with Elizabeth Warren, who's across, party aisles, reaching across, coming up with real solutions. And what he's told us is that this would bridge the gap and that there would be no cuts to Ohioans receiving Social Security, and that's fantastic news. We're still waiting for the legislation, but it is very promising.
And so when you came out with this new AARP poll, it found that 81% of older voters, they are extremely motivated to vote. But then that ages 18 to 49, 62%. So having said those percentages right now, what can you say to the younger generations about why they should be more motivated to vote, and what should they learn from this older generation who is motivated?
Yeah, great question. I mean, everyone needs to be informed advocates, right? You have the ability to vote. When you vote, you have the ability to elect your local elected officials, and you want them to carry your voice, whether it's to Congress, to the State House, to the gubernatorial office, which is so important. And we're just touching on a few things today, like Social Security is super important, but those are your elected officials that represent your interests, and you have the ability to make a difference.
All right, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming in. Jennifer Carlson with AARP Ohio. Coming up next, we're going to take a quick break, but joining us in 2 minutes is the Columbus Zoo talking about a new aquarium, all of the big developments going on up there at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 9:42 on your Friday here on The Big Picture. I'm Collin. She's Bryn. Right now we are joined by Tom Schmid, the CEO of the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
You guys have been busy.
It's been a busy few weeks, busy few years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the aquarium is planning this, 100,000 square foot expansion.
Right.
This is exciting.
Right now. So tell us, these are some pretty big plans.
Yeah.
Where all is this going?
So this is really part of our strategy to just build out our interpretive program, really make the Columbus Zoo a year-round destination. Right now, we're largely a regional, seasonal attraction, and so coming up with wonderful programs and things for guests to do and see year-round, that's one of the key parts of our strategy. So I think the aquarium fits in well with that. Our existing aquarium is pretty dated. It's very beloved, but it's been around for over 30 years. And we know people are fascinated with marine life. And so being able to introduce an entirely new attraction to our campus, I think really complements the interpretive story. We get to interpret more of what covers 3/4 of the globe, from the Scioto River all the way to the Indo-Pacific region, but a great attraction for the middle of summer when it's hot, the middle of winter when it's cold, and every day in between.
Absolutely. What inspiration are you drawing from when it comes to designing this new aquarium? Because tickets are going to be separate, right, for the new aquarium and then the regular zoo.
Right. Yeah, so we really sort of looked at our conservation programming, and right now many of the exhibits, almost all the exhibits that we have at the zoo tie into a field conservation program. So we really wanted to lean in on that. So we start with the Scioto River, work our way to the Pacific Northwest, and then down to the Caribbean, into the Indo-Pacific region. And these are all areas where we've begun to do more conservation work. And we're going to be able to showcase our coral program in the new aquarium, what we're doing to help save sharks globally. So lots of different ways to interpret that conservation work and really bring it to all the folks who visit.
And you mentioned coral there. We know that coral groupings, coral reefs are currently very endangered. We see them dying out at a rapid pace across the globe. Talk to me a little about the zoo's preservation program, how you guys are working to...
So we work with a lot of other aquariums, and we're really studying corals and trying to determine, are there ways to make corals more resistant to warmer ocean temperatures or more acidic ocean water quality. So this is part of a much, much larger effort to try to figure out if we can help restore global populations of coral around the world. So we're focused in particular on Caribbean species, Florida Keys, for example, but we could move into the Indo-Pacific in the future. So we've got a really great coral biologist that works for us at the zoo, Ramon. He's does a terrific job. We're happy to play a role in this.
Absolutely. I love how in Adventure Cove you walk through that sea lion area and you're covered with the glass and you feel like you're underwater.
Yeah.
When you're designing this new aquarium, will there be immersive elements like that, like in Adventure Cove? And are there any barriers right now that you think could maybe pop up between now and opening in 2029?
I don't see any barriers at this point. We're well along with the design process. We'll start construction documents this summer. We're actively fundraising. Certainly we got that transformational gift from the Wolf family to really kick this off. So we're really pleased with that trajectory. Each gallery will have a really different theme, but a very interpretive theme and a very immersive feel. I mean, you'll walk into these spaces and you'll actually feel like you're in the Indo-Pacific region, or you'll feel like you're in the Pacific Northwest. So really putting a lot of focus, not just what's inside the aquariums, but the surrounding area.
Absolutely.
And then we've also got the announcement of the hotel plans, or at least the idea of let's get a hotel on property, and that kind of fits into this. Let's make it more than a seasonal destination.
And can I add to that, Tom? I'm from Columbus. I feel like for years we've all talked about having a hotel at the zoo. Why does this now feel like the right opportunity?
So we 2 years ago we partnered with a company called Hotel Leisure Advisors, and they did a deep dive into the market. They looked at the surrounding hotel occupancy rates around the region. They looked at tourism trends. They looked at growth potential in Delaware County. They pretty much put together an enormous amount of data and really fed that into their model to determine if a hotel would be successful. And the result was that, they felt that now was the right time to build one. So that really led us to launching the RFQ process.
And where would it be? We have a kind of an image of it, but in that back parking lot area.
Yeah, more than likely, we want folks at the hotel to be able to easily access the aquarium, easily access the zoo, easily access Zoombezi Bay, and even our Centennial Plaza, where we have a lot of different attractions and rides in the Adventure Cove region.
So right now, the zoo also has, not resigning, but people can stay at the Wilds.
Yep.
Talk to us about what that experience is like and how this hotel might be different.
Yeah, so we've actually, that's a good question. We've learned a lot about lodging from the work we do at the Wilds. There's a lot to do at the Wilds. In fact, if you want to really do everything there, you can't do it in one day, and that's why I think the lodging has been popular. We've seen a lot of great interest in the yurts and the cabins we have out there, and we even expanded that last year to add an RV park, because we know a lot of folks have RVs and they want to be able to utilize that to spend more time and travel. So the one of the unique things about the Columbus Zoo is our size. We're one of the largest zoos in the country. It takes about 5 hours, and on average, people spend about 5 hours at the Columbus Zoo. Members might not spend quite as long because they come more often, but general admission visitors typically spend 5 hours. So you combine that with spending potentially all day at the water park. Maybe someone in the family wants to play golf, and then a new aquarium attraction. Now you've got a multi-day destination. So if we've got families coming in from Chicago or Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, and they want to spend the weekend at Columbus, that's our goal, is to create a destination on our campus for a multi-day visit.
And let's talk about ticket prices, because you're obviously adding a lot of new attractions. Do you anticipate ticket prices to raise? And are you guys working to kind of figure out a sweet spot between single day passes and then season holders? Because sometimes, I mean, I live in Franklin County, so I get the Franklin County discount, which is wonderful. But do you hope to lower those prices at all, or will they go up with all these new developments?
The prices almost certainly won't go down. I mean, we're seeing cost increases in food and fuel, and we give our team members raises each year. We want to make sure we're a great workplace. So, but trying to manage those the best we can in order to support our mission work. We're also scaling our conservation work, so we want to generate more funding to support that. The aquarium will cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 million a year to operate. So we've got to figure out a way how to pay for that. And the simplest way is to charge admission for the aquarium. We thought about just combining that with the zoo ticket. And that's something that we could still look at and just raise the zoo ticket. But again, what I mentioned with a 5-hour typical length of stay at the zoo, trying to think how many families are going to want to spend 5 hours at the zoo and then turn around and spend another 2 hours at the aquarium. That gets to be a pretty long day, particularly if you have younger kids. So we thought, well, is it better to give folks flexibility? Maybe they come to the zoo one day, they come to the aquarium another day. And so that really drove kind of the decision to have really separate ticketing for that.
Absolutely.
And as we talk about the growth of the zoo complex and everything that surrounds it, obviously the zoo in Liberty Township just reached that agreement with the help of the governor, and kind of coming to that of what, $2,700 an ambulance run. What do you tell the patrons when it comes to the safety of their visit?
Yeah. Well, we've always prioritized safety and risk management. We have a really robust EMS team that is employed by the zoo on site. What we didn't have before is transport. So we relied on Liberty Township to do that for us, and we've relied on them to help us for the last, several decades. What we've done now is we have a private EMS service to augment our on-site team and with an ambulance. So now we have an ambulance on-site at the zoo, which allows us to respond even quicker. So that's really going to help relieve some of the burden for Liberty Township. All along, that's what they've shared, that we're a burden on them. So we want to take that burden off. So we've got transport now. We can transport. If a staff member gets injured or a guest gets injured, we've got the ambulance on site. We can immediately transport them to the hospital. Now, there may be times when we have more than one incident, or there may be a time during the year during slower attendance when we don't have on site, and we'll continue to rely on Liberty Township then. But this is really about how do we come up with the best security and safety system for our guests and our employees.
Right.
Because you are kind of operating like your own little city, especially now with this new hotel that's going to be built. Well, Tom, thank you so much for coming in today. And I would like to offer up my services. I'm a certified scuba diver, so I can come and clean that new aquarium, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
we'll
sign
take
me up.
advantage of that.
All right.
Awesome.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Of course.
program this morning.
And I'm
I guess,
beefing with Ticketmaster.
Yeah, Bryn, which is an understandable beef. I hate the way we buy tickets
I cannot stand the way the ticket system is. I thought there was legislation to try to make it better, and it's not better.
Yeah, it never passed. That's the whole reason.
Oh, it didn't?
Yeah,
I thought it
died.
did.
Yeah.
They got to fix it, man, because it's
right.
like...
Well, it got like held up in courts, and the courts decided to side with Ticketmaster or something like
I'm
that.
looking
Anyway.
at tickets right now for Ella Langley, who just announced. I mean, I think we had it on our morning show yesterday. She's coming to Columbus. $627 for floor tickets for a person who's
are those
like
resale
not really...
or are those like before they get scooped up by the resellers?
This is before.
Because see, that's also my other issue is like there's so many resellers that have the bots out there to like gather buku tickets, and then so our chance at getting them is gone within 30 seconds, and then all of a sudden there's tickets for 3 times the price being resold.
Anyway, so if you guys get tickets to go, enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this new study from Deloitte.
Yeah.
This is right up my alley because I consider myself a millennial. I do not identify with millennial. No offense to millennials out there. It's just I'm on the lower cusp of it all.
We're cuspy.
We are.
We're both cuspy. I'm probably more millennial than I am related to Gen Z. I don't get their slang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't understand the slang or the fashion. So
I love their baggy clothes. Okay. Well, so this new study from Deloitte basically was asking if the American dream is on pause.
Right, which is owning a standalone home, a yard,
So
2 kids, a dog.
I kind of broke down the 5 takeaways from this. So number 1, financial stress is delaying major life milestones.
Right.
I would agree. Right? I mean, from buying a house and stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say it's that we just talked earlier this week that the average home price now is like something like $463,000.
Yeah, it says money is the biggest factor shaping this generation's decisions, which I would agree with. It says 55% of Gen Z and 52% of millennials say they postpone major life events because of their finances, which includes getting married, having children, buying a home, going back to school, and starting a business. So.
Right. And, I
guess
as somebody who this study kind of focuses on, it's interesting because we talk about that rising of home prices, which is kind of that whole thing of the American dream. I bought a house in 2020 before I moved here. I was in Iowa. I bought a house there, and this was before the market blew up. So, I mean, when I sold, I made a decent profit, and I was like, okay, I'm moving to Columbus. I'll have a decent down payment. I'll be able to buy again. Rude awakening.
Really?
Terrible. I was like, oh, this doesn't even touch a down payment here.
Yeah.
So I have basically given up on this buying a house thing.
Yeah.
Because at least in the near future.
I'm just waiting. I want to put a huge down payment down.
Yeah.
Like we've been saving, and it's like, so I don't want to pay a big mortgage like that.
And that's my thing is I'm camping out where I've got cheap rent. I'm staying there until it makes sense to purchase.
Yeah. So basically, young adults, they aren't necessarily choosing to wait. We feel forced to, basically, because of finances. Yeah. Okay, and then number 2, the biggest takeaway, climbing the corporate ladder is not a top priority. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I think after COVID, I feel like a lot of that shifted for people that were working in corporate America. They were kind of like, you know what? I can be home with my kids and also work. I can do it all at one time and do it from home.
Right, because you've seen the Diane Keaton movie Baby Boom, right? Where she
quits her
oh my God. And it's all about that. Like she was this corporate businesswoman climbing up the ladder, and then one day she was like, you know what? I'm gonna run off to Vermont and make baby food. And it's a great movie, but it's all about that whole shift of
hustle
mindset
culture.
Of like, I don't want to do that. And I think we definitely see that with Gen Z more than we do the millennials of dedication to one sole job. Like our parents, a lot of them have stayed, their whole career was spent at one point because there was the corporate loyalty. Back then you got a pension.
Right. No.
Nobody's getting a pension
So
anymore.
basically only 6% say becoming a leader is their top career goal. So big percentage is saying they don't care. So now the third takeaway was AI is becoming a daily workplace tool. 74% of both Gen Z and millennials now use AI at work every day. And why does this matter? Well, workers increasingly see AI as a productivity tool, not just a threat to their jobs. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of Gen Z does feel that way.
And we had that report yesterday that companies that laid off huge swaths of their employees in the past year are now bringing these positions back because replacing them fully with AI didn't work.
Right.
So now it's turning into people who can use AI and know how to use it to the advantage of the business are going to be people who are very beneficial and sought for.
Hold on, we got to speed this up. 20 seconds left, Collin.
20 seconds.
Work-life balance matters more than fast promotions, and they're optimistic but realistic. All right, Zillennials. I would agree. The work-life balance matter. I feel like that all stems from COVID.
Yeah.
It all goes back there.
A lot of things changed. All right, that's it for us. We'll see you Monday.
Have a good weekend.